Yes, people, welcome back, welcome back. Good day to everyone. Welcome back, man. Ah, people, how everyone is doing? How everyone is doing after that, back after that defeat at AT&T Stadium and in Arlington, Texas. Yeah, what time did you guys went to bed last night? I know I went to bed around 3 a.m. Just couldn't sleep. Just could not sleep. Ah. I was thinking a whole lot of stuff, and I just decided to just turn on the TV, yeah, and just watch some movie, yeah, until I fall asleep, and that's how exactly my night ended late last night. But back of a defeat in a semi-final, yet again crushed out of a semi-final, back-to-back semi-final. I'm losing game, you know. The way how we lost that game, man, the way how we lost that game, it's just disappointed, man. It's heartbroken, Look, as a fan, I support Manchester United, seeing a lot of teams got crushed at Old Trafford with the Fergie time. Yeah. I just know that, remember that even that game against Aston Villa when Federico Marqueda came off the bench to win the game for us, I think 4-3 at Old Trafford. Games like that, I could just feel it for the Villa fans, But yeah, I felt last night how heartbreaking it is to feel a team scored on my country in the 95th minute. And a lot of people could have their say and that stoppage time thing that went up. First, when I was watching the game, I did not see that. I did not see that. I went back on the replay and I watched and I realized I was like, whoa, how the hell did the time went from 4 to 5, So that's like, that's just chaotic. That's just chaotic from the fourth official, the referee, the VAR, and even watching that stuff, whoever have the viewership to be watching it on Paramount. Yeah, you hear the analyst, the panel, they spoke about it and they said, that big call from that to the referee to add an extra minute, it's coming from the VAR room. So, even when they scored, when we kick off the ball, but they didn't even give us an extra minute or nothing because the goal scored, they celebrate. So there's added time to that, So it's just one of them days, man. And I just want the man them, leave Cory Burke alone, brother. Leave Cory Burke alone. It's just not down to the man alone, I understand that, Mr. Burke could have easily direct his head, back out to the goal line, back out to the penalty area, and he flashes head towards the goal and, it's stress, man. It's stress, I don't know how many of you guys recovered or if you haven't recovered, if you're still recuperating, from that defeat, but that was the best opportunity for us probably for a long time. Yeah, for a long time. I remember when we beat them in the semi-final, we beat a US team in the semi-final, I think 2015, a very good US team. Yeah, and you could see that a lot of local players was playing for us at the time too. So, but that was a very good time. But you could say the Mexican team was very on top of their game, 10 years ago. So, but this is the moment, this is the moment that, looking over our shoulder, that there's Mexico over there, there is the Panamanian teams over there, teams that beatable, teams that are beatable, even though, the Panamanian team, they're having a wonderful run, that Thomas Christiansen, leading up to their semi-final game yesterday. The Mexico team, is having a whole lot of problem. Jamie Lozano, the Mexican national coach, the gaffer, is having some issues, with that squad. So, Mexico themselves not really playing top-notch football, probably for the last, probably you could go back, after, that 2018 World Cup, in Russia. They played a wonderful World Cup there, but lead up to that World Cup in Qatar, They didn't play well in the World Cup qualifier themselves. They didn't play well, They lost a few managers on the road, I think what's his coach, the Argentina and Tata Martino, Tata Martino. They lost another. I think it's Bielo. I don't remember, but I think it's Diego. They lost another coach, and then now they have Jamie Lozano. So, still a Mexican team that's still trying to find their identity. Yeah, and looking at us that we could have easily gone to play that final on Sunday against a Mexican team. Look at how they played against a Panama team. Like watching that game last night, I was peeping over the fence like, look, the Panama team had a lot of moments. Yeah, the Panama team had a lot of moments in the game where they control a lot of the attacking periods where they could have scored. They create moments, they created opportunities, and you could say, both teams going into that game have made a lot of changes to the starting lineup. Pineda was on the bench. Luis Romo was on the bench. Jorge Sanchez, the number one starting right back, is missing out in a suspension. So they have quite a few players that wasn't starting. Santiago Jimenez, yeah. Man like Santiago Jimenez, the man that's playing in the Eredivisie, he find himself on the bench, so on the Panama side, yeah, Panama, went without one of their top man that usually be the point, who's usually be that point in the attacking third, Eric Davis, the left back, and the legend himself, Barnes, is injured in that 17th minute of the game, and as soon as Eric Davis came on the pitch and slot himself in that left wing back position, the game just kind of flipped towards the Panamanian, and they just didn't score. And I think, for a man like Farhado, have a wonderful World Cup last campaign in the summer. I was expecting much better from him. Ishmael Diaz, yeah, I'm expecting much better from him for the Panama national team, and they just didn't take the opportunities. And every time when the Panama team came close in that game, it's like the Mexican team just hit them with a goal. And each time it happened over and over and over. And the Mexican team just hit them with a goal. And they just couldn't recover. And one of those goals, I think it's really controversial, on how the VAR drew their line in that game against it was a Colombian born Quenes. Yeah, Quenes, that guy that scored, I think it was the second goal, that went 2-0 up, and controversially, they conceded right on the stroke of the end of first half, and it was so sad. It was so sad for Christian's team, and I didn't think the Panama team really deserved that the whole they played in the first half. But again, if you don't take your moments against the big guns in CONCACAF, that's what won't happen. That's what won't happen to you. So yeah, looking at those two teams, Jamaica can easily beat one of those teams, especially a Mexico team that is not playing so pretty right now. They're not playing, the usual fast intensity, the Mexican style of playing. And that game, I was a bit disappointed in that game because the intensity in that game, it was so low. The energy was so low in that game compared to how both teams played in that final in the World Cup. Oh man, that World Cup final, it was a high intensity game, so I hope, Thomas Christiansen, the Panamanian coach, can get the Los Calineros back on track. Yeah, hope he can get them back on track coming up in next international break for the Panama team. So yeah, hope he can get things back on track. But the bigger classical final, what CONCACAF have predicted, what they have wanted is the US versus Mexico. And listening how sometimes bias these American journalists can be, listening to Charlie Davis, listening to Jesse Marsh, listening to Clint Dempsey and on the post-game show on Paramount. And when you listen to how they talk about the US team, they said the Mexican team is not playing as like they usually played, years back. They said, oh, if the Mexican team is not setting up their attacking as all they should are having a 100% really good game, it will be easily walk over for the US men's national team. The US team, look at how they play Jamaica. Look at how they played Jamaica in that game. The Mexican, they can say the same thing too. So, sometimes I don't really like to listen to the American media, the American journalists. They're way too biased and they talk football about the USA, whatever American sport it is, that's how they talk about their team. They don't really talk the football as though it should be, to be honest. Yeah. But look, the game yesterday, the first game at AT&T Stadium. What happened to the US fans? What happened to the US fans looking at the game, when they showed that 360 view around the stadium, in that halftime report show. And I was like, whoa. I'm not expecting to see probably, you're probably looking at 25,000 people in a AT&T Stadium that all around 80,000. I'm not expecting to see that amount of American fans. I'm expecting to see more American fans in that stadium, and I was a bit shocked to see, like, whoa. And I was probably expecting to see a little bit more Jamaican fans in the stadium also. But on the American side, they are the home team. Yeah, this game is played in Texas. Texas been known to developing, a really footballing culture. Maybe if that game played next door in city in Austin in the Q2 stadium, where we played them in our World Cup qualifier game, last World Cup qualifier campaign. Yeah, maybe it would have been a full house, but then that stadium is so small. Yeah, I think that stadium probably hold around close to 40,000. And you just can't play that game, that all I can't play that game in a stadium that all around 40,000 when you have a doubleheader with the Mexican national team going to play last. So I was a bit surprised, to see that the US, they didn't turn up in a much more larger number for that game. Yeah, but the US team noticed that they can't break down teams in the low block. And I think that quarterfinal game against Trinidad and Tobago, I think Coach Al Grimson have taken a lot of notes from that game, home and away, playing both games, in that leg. And I was like, looking at it this morning, I'm like, maybe Coach, I've gotten a lot of information on how, to get around this US team, especially playing in a low block, especially playing with three at the box. I was like, is he get, a little vision from what Angus Eve have set up his Trinidad team to play against the US team? He was peeping over the fence, looking at that Trinidad game, the quarterfinal, and look at how the US team struggled to score those 3 goals. I think they scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes, after playing that first leg, and Trinidad, beat them in Trinidad in that second leg. So probably he look over the fence and get a little notes from Angus Eve, but back to back semi-final lose. Back to back semi-final late, not really late goals, but back-to-back game against the US, conceding late, that goal that we concede at Soldier Field, that goal that Brandon Vasquez scored. Sure, Dexter Lembisika could have done a bit better, position himself, could we have done a much better last night against the US, prevent that near post. That's what I'm thinking. Should Cory Burke maybe was in the wrong position, because when you really look at it, and teams really set up their strikers to defend a corner kick. If you really notice, strikers normally be the first man at the front post. That if he get beaten, he will naturally be the first man to get beaten on the near post. And the ball, I think the ball kind of slightly got that deflection, and it just come towards Cory Burke, and fortunately he just went into. But I'm just thinking, one, I think Cory Burke was in the wrong position. It probably can that probably can down to the goalkeeper. Yeah, it's El Capitano, Andre Blake, and Damion Lowe. You could call R3 center half. Probably they could have positioned Cory Burke a bit further, so he should be the first man should get beaten if the ball passed him. And maybe a defender, if it was a defender, in his position, maybe they could have reflect a different, reflect their body position differently, and trying to get the ball out of our penalty box. So, and zonal marking, I just don't think, I just don't like zonal marking. I don't. Is it here you go man to man? Yeah, man to man. But if you're not going to go man to man, you probably go at least 75% all of the US players. If you have 6 US players coming up for the attack, at least 4 of them that going to get marked and probably zone out the other rest of 2. But you probably could put it into context. 96 minutes they pushed up everyone in the box, quick corner. Yeah, so maybe they just caught the Reggae Boys team off guard, but you have to be latched on. That was the last play of the game. Yeah, that was the last play of the game, and I don't really want to talk much about that stoppage time that just added. Yeah, I don't really want to talk much about that, as it's just the nature of the game. Whatever the official said, we have to just work with it. Did the game rig? Did they steal a couple of minutes from the Reggae Boys? So, and nothing much really happened in that second half. Yeah, nothing much really happened in that second half for them to get 5 minutes. 4 minutes could have been very positive one, because look, our substitution, that we made, they made a substitution in the start of the second half. I think Jerina came on the start of the second half, and they made another substitution, I think, around the 65th minute of gameplay, when they brought on Tyler Adams came on, Adjuride came on, and I think Ricardo Pepe, came on. And remember, the US were 1-0 down. So all those 3 players, Boligun, Yunus Musa, and Timothy Weah, they all ran off the pitch. So they didn't spend a lot of time on the pitch, for that substitution. And the only player that spent probably a few minutes on the pitch when it was his number went up to take him off the pitch was Ronald Cephas, and he was having a little issues. I think it was Tyler Adams, was trying to get him off the pitch as fast as possible. Bobby Reed, he went off the pitch because he was on the near side. Yeah, he was on the near side to the touchline, where the bench is at. So I don't think 5 minutes really deserve in that game. I think 3 to 4 minutes, but 4 minutes would have been the ideal amount of minutes that they played. And just one of them games, man. It's just one of them games. They would just lost that final, that semi-final. But look, the moment that goal went in, I knew it. I didn't have much heat. I didn't have much anger to really push out, in on that watch along to say, the Reggae Boys can still survive from that goal that we can see. That was just too much. That was just too much emotion to stomach. You know that you play the game. You scored the quickest goal in the Nations League in 30 seconds, 35 seconds of play, and you defending all the way from that goal until the 95th minute. As players, you must feel there is nothing much Coach Al Grimson could have said to get back these players on track. It was just too much for them, especially Cory Burke, and probably he was just having so much discomfort. The coach probably just took him off the pitch, and his body language says it all. He just felt it in the moment that he's not going to having the best of game on the pitch. And body language before he came on, Cory Burke didn't look himself. And as I said, one of my brethren, who was on the ground, linked me this morning and said, stayed back after the game, at AT&T, and he saw when the players were leaving, the stadium, and players have to be comforting Cory Burke as it was just too much for him. And the baller himself posted on his social media just around hours before the game, that his little sister is missing and all that. So I hope he find the strength, hope he find the peace, and hope his family, his wife, everyone can keep the player so he should be. But I don't surprise if Cory Burke, I don't surprise if I don't see him in that third and fourth game. You know, I don't surprise if I don't see him in that game. But, you know, hope all is well, Mr. Burke. Yeah. But as leading up to again, you know, that 95th minute and it goes into extra time, the players them drain. The players them drain. You know, you could see that the players them drain mentally, physically. The players them drain. They didn't have much. You know, in the first half, we had around 3 attempts to goal. Yeah, we had around 3 attempts to goal. In the second half, we had around 1 attempt and goal. And in the extra time play, both half in extra time, no attempt, no shots and goal, no shots off target. Players them drained mentally, physically, man. It was just over. And that second goal that they scored, Adjurite, that goal that Adjurite scored, G Arena, I think it was 50-50 ball that was just bouncing all around. The three regular boys central midfielders. I think it was Cory, DJ, and Damion Lowe. And I don't know, all three midfielders went into the same challenge, and all three of them came out unsuccessful. None of them won the ball, and Jerry just go through. And when I saw that ball just slip through to Adjurite, I knew it. Yeah, I knew it. That was it. And when that goal went in, that's it for us. We couldn't find the second gear in that extra time to try to at least punish them. It was just too much for us. Yeah, it was just too much for us to deal with. But big up, to the players themselves, big up to Coach Alvin, everyone, really caught this US team, with shit at the back. But the first thing, I want to really start talking about is one of the 5 things, yeah? One of the 5 things that I really want to talk about, yeah, the defensive line keeping their shape and discipline. Yeah, the discipline in that team. Look at Joel Latibody, Hector, Deshaun Bernard, especially Damion Lowe, who picked up a yellow card around in that 60 mark of the game. Yeah, and when you look at that first half and yeah, sorry about that. But when you look at how the team have set up in that first half and how they have dealt with everything that the US have thrown against us in that first half, that back three, it was so well organized. I think that was the pivotal formation to use in that game. When you look at it, when the midfield get caught out at position, especially the players that play that double pivot role in the central midfield area, a lot of time they got caught out, and it gave the defensive team a lot more opportunities for one of them to step out, to play Daniel. So come to that, Daniel. But when you really look at it, the defensive line, they held their shape. Yet that 5 at the back, there was no room to run in behind. As you know, Boligun, that was one of his strengths. Yeah, that's one of his strengths, to get in behind, spin defenders, run off their shoulders. But because it's 3 center half, yeah, and all 3 of them is holding their shape. The wing backs, they doing their job both in the defensive third and in the attacking third. So there wasn't enough space even for Christian Pulisic, even Timothy Weah to run in behind. There wasn't no space to get a true ball in, as every time when our midfielders get beaten, is either Damion Lowe in that first half or Hector stepped up and blocked off whatever the US throwing at us. And that's a real priority, and all the coach want us to play. And listening to how Jesse Marks talk about Coach Alf Grimson when him and his coaching staff back in the time when he was coaching Iceland team, Jesse Marks talk about it when they came to New York Red Bull facility to talk about it's like a football seminar where they talk about things, and he said that how Alf Grimson is trying to learn more and expand on his style of play, and how to let his team play a bit more well organized, a bit more structural, and a bit more compact in the defense. As he said, Alf Grimson is a coach that, the first thing you're going to get from an Alf Grimson team is a very good, solid defensive team. Yeah, well organized. And you probably could see, it's getting better and better. I think the defensive team, is understanding what the coach wanted from them, more and more. So things are looking more positive, Reggae boy fans, hold up on the head, man. Yeah, hold up on the head. Yeah. Positive things are coming out from the Reggae boy team and how the coach want us to play. So positive, hold up our head. Next up is the World Cup qualifier. Next up is in Kingston. Then we travel to Dominica. So, positive things, man. The team is coming. The team is gelling. You could see that. But it's just a few little things behind scene, in the administration that need to get sorted out. But defensively, the team keep their shape. Discipline. Who would have thought that the team, I'm saying, there's only 2 defensive players in the starting lineup that got yellow card, and it was Lembesika and Damion Lowe. Yeah. Joe Latibody, Michael Hector, Deshaun Bernard, they all went right through the game, 120 without a yellow card. But that probably down to how the US team, have played. They have played a little bit slow. I don't know if it's because they just got caught off guard. This Jamaica team played a 3 at the back. So, Jamaica did everything what they supposed to do yesterday to win the game, but just one mistake. One mistake cost us the game. Yeah, but so that's the one of the 5 things. Yeah, keeping the defensive shape and the discipline of how we control our ego and our temperament, defending against the US team. Next up is this is a very important thing. Yeah, this is a very important thing. We're going to need around probably 10 more players to add to the squad that we have already. Yeah, we're going to need to add more depth in this squad, because when you look around CONCACAF, look at the Mexican national team. Yeah, they have a B team, but they're local players that played in the Liga MX. So when you look in this Mexico team, I think around 12 or 13 players in the squad have played locally in the Liga MX. Yeah, and they can go on to pick probably a next 13 to 14 players from the same local league, Liga MX. Yeah, that is very quality to CONCACAF style of play, and the CONCACAF standard. And Costa Rica, they have a very huge squad, as they always preparing that B squad. Yeah, Panama. But on the other side, what's the big difference though with Panama? I just leave Mexico out of this. For me personally, technically, tactically, I think Mexican League, the Liga MX, is the best in the region. The US probably just have a lot more money, a bit more franchises that bring in a lot of designated players, from Europe and from South America. But when you look at it, Costa Rica, the Honduran League, Guatemala League, and Salvadoran League, you could say arguably those leagues, technically, they are more better and well structured and organized more than the Jamaican Premier League. So those teams, those national teams will always have an advantage over Jamaica national team of keeping a B team. Yeah, and even though the Guatemalan team, locally, they have more players. I think they out of probably around the top 6, top 7 teams in CONCACAF. Guatemala team, probably they have more local players, more than any other squad, in CONCACAF, for Costa Rica, El Salvador, and all these teams. So those countries have a stronger club league than the Jamaican Premier League. So looking at the Jamaican Premier League, is it benefit, to have a squad, a B team? Is like when you look at the players that went to play those 2 games in Trinidad, yeah, just before, the build up for this game. Probably you only could pick around 3 players, maybe 3 players. Kaim Dixon is in it. Shaquan Davis was in the squad. The Nations League squad. Who else? I can't remember anyone off the top of my head right now, but you don't really have much players, who really can farm a general B team for the Reggae Bowl that can give us a lot more depth in our squad. We're going to have to look a bit more abroad, when you look at players that, missing out of the squad, player like, probably Kevin Lambert, Junior Flemings, Norman Campbell, players that really doing well, what you call it, on the other side of Europe. Kaim Paris, you have play, you have striker like, what's his name? You have Nico Brett, that's one of the top leading goal scorer in the USL. So players like that can be fringe players. Keep them in the team, keep them around the squad. Because even when you look up the build-up and the Argentinian team, how they pick players for even the World Cup qualifiers, they have picked like at least 30 players for all their national selection. They have picked around over, I think, 35 players in every international camp. So you see that they keep a core, they keep a deep squad depth. So if players going to get pulled out, players going to come in suspension, disciplinary ban, injury. This is international football, and people have to understand, as much as we want to see the same type of squad depth, the same type of players, probably around the same 15 players, 17 players coming into the national setup at the same time. Sometimes in international football, it's very difficult. It's very difficult because players going to get injured, players going to get pulled out, personal issues, personal reasons, and all that. So we have to prepare for that. And I think, the squad, our squad is not deep enough as yet. As you look around CONCACAF, look at, a US team that we played in the last World Cup at Soldier Field. When you look at that team, Morris in the midfield that play for the US, James Sands, Miles Robinson, look at what's his name? I forgot the right back name. Ferreira, these players that play locally in the MLS, those players are on a different level. So they have the capability, they have the standard of the players outside of this 23 US team. The crop of these players now can easily fit in and make it to be a 30-man squad to see, going into any tournament that they have a very good squad there. Look at it. A player, who got, I think, Luca Della Torre, the man from Celta Vigo. Yeah, he got injured. Who they brought in? Brandon Aarons, a man that playing at Union Berlin. We don't have that. We really don't have that. Who else got? I think Josh Sargent, who's playing at Norwich City in the championship. A man that, scored 13 goals in just 2000 in the season right now, but 8 goals in the calendar year for Norwich. Yeah. He got dropped out because of injury. He having some whole injury problem. They brought in a man that scored over 13 goals for Coventry in the championship. Yeah, a man who scored the winner at the Molineux in the FA Cup against Wolves. So they have squad depth. They have squad depth. I think they have another player, and I think his name is Peacock. Where players that they can bring in and they replace those players. And when you look at it, man, we just cannot match them toe-to-toe with players. But what we have to do, we have to well organize, we have to play structural football, and that's how you beat teams. Diego Simeone teams over the years is not the biggest. When you look at Mario Suarez, back in the time when they have Raul Garcia in the midfield and Saul and all these players, those players are not top notch, but guess what? They play organized, they work hard, and they play structural football. Oh, they want to defend and compact. So, squad depth, that's the second thing, out of the 5 squad depth, because next up will be the World Cup qualifier. It will be June the 6th and June the 9th, home and away. And then right after, I think a week after, or a week and a half, we will have that Copa America against the Mexico national team. That's where we kicked off at NRG Stadium in Houston. And, that will be June 22nd. That's like a week and a half from those World Cup qualifier again. So, we're going to need squad depth. And when you really look at it, don't be surprised. Again, you see the same thing happen in that World Cup qualifier game, the first game at the National Stadium against Dominican Republic. Some people might say, playing at home against Dominican Republic, we can probably pick a few players in the squad and, bring in a few French players, rotate the squad, giving a lot more players rest, because, European football going to end. We have quite a few players that play in the championship, play in the League One, and those leagues run all the way up to 46 games. So those players going to have a whole lot of games on their legs. So it's all we're going to rotate player like Greg Lee, Casey Palmer, who's going to play week on week, or Joe Latibodier, in the championship. Player maybe, Jonathan Russell, going to be in. I think he's going to get back a fair chance back in the team. Yeah, Jamal Lowe, players like that, they're going to have a lot of minutes under their belt. Kara Anderson, Michael Hector, players that played in the League One championship for the Reggae Boys. So it's all we going to deal with the games that's coming up, squad management. So I'm just looking out for that, how we're going to have additional players. And me personally, I would love for us to have at least 25 players coming up for international duties. But then again, you're going to hear nice, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough team doctors, we don't have enough money to get them in hotel and all that. But it's the World Cup qualifiers coming up. We have to put in all in it so we can get the best preparation. So sometimes I just don't feel like a 23 man squad, sometimes it's fair enough to really call up for a World Cup qualifier, because anything can. Now we want to make sure we make the precaution that we qualify for this World Cup, because this is huge. We will never get a better opportunity to qualify for the World Cup. So that's why I said squad depth and we manage the players, especially playing in the English lower leagues outside of the Premier League. So, and we have a lot of injured players. We have a lot of injured players like Jamal Lowe just coming off injury. Michael Hector is struggling with injury. From the season start. Playing with Niggles. Greg Lee. Greg Lee is a very strong player. Yeah, Greg Lee is a very strong player. Tavon Gray. I just don't see what he brings to this Reggae Boys team in the right back. So that's another position that we probably can try to get in our next body. Someone that can come and try to back up Dexter. What if Dexter go down? Who are we going to play there? So let's see, how we deal with squad depth. So yeah, that's why I said, remember the World Cup qualifier come up in June 6 and 9. Copa America kicks off for us in June the 22nd, and then right after, the regular league start back in August, European League start back in August, and then September again, it's the Nations League. Yeah, it's the Nations League again. So, and then straight out until 2024, we have games in our FIFA windows, and then come back March again, where we are right now. We're probably going to be more likely going to be in the Nations League qualifying round, for the quarterfinals and semifinals. So let's see, man. Let's see what's going to happen, and then again, World Cup qualifier start again, and then 2025, it's the Gold Cup. It's the Gold Cup again. So we have a whole lot of football. People have a whole lot of football to play in the next build up for the next World Cup. Whole lot of football. FIFA windows jam packed, and that's what we like to see as Reggae Boys fan, because back in a few years, in recent years, in times we're playing Caribbean teams, we play one international game in a FIFA window. So now we have a lot of players, so that not a game. So that's why I'm saying squad depth is very important for the Reggae Boys, yeah. And we just can pick out a few local players that I saw a few local players that can really be in around the team. And I think when you have the goalkeeper position, the Andre Blake, who's naturally going to be the number one selection, Bobby Jamal Wade is always going to be the second choice. Yeah, you see the third choice for me personally. Use that position. Use the third choice goalkeeper to always pick a local player. Why I said that? You have goalkeeper like Shaquan Davis in the squad. Amal Knight usually being around the team. I think he's playing in League One in the USL. No, Jaden White. You have player. You have You have Eric Edwards, the goalkeeper from Arnett Garden. Probably going up in age, probably around 27 now. But you have that player, that young goalkeeper at Mount Pleasant. I think his name is Lynch. He played an under 20 World Cup qualifier. Very good goalkeeper with the ball at his feet. Who else you have? I'm trying to figure out who else. I don't remember on top of my head no. But yeah, you have a young goalkeeper, even at Arnett Garden. I think his name is Asher Hutchinson. Very acrobatic goalkeeper. But I think what will cause an Asher not to get a lot of selection in the senior team. I have young Bernard from Phoenix Academy, really good goalkeeper. But Asher is a bit shorter than most of the goalkeeper. And I think that just going to be his downfall, from not getting a lot of selection, in around the national team. Same thing that happened with previous Arnett Garden veteran goalkeeper, Julian McLeish. Height, but really good at shot stopping. But yeah, so that's why I said, the third choice goalkeeper in the national team should, this is my point of view, should always be a local goalkeeper. You're giving them that exposure. You're giving them time around the squad where they can be around player like Antonio, Demarville, Leon Bale, Shaman Nichols, all these players, just being around even Andre Blake, can learn a lot of experience from, and it can continue their development. A lot of people said, oh, the national program is not for development. But let me tell you, there's different types of development. When I say sometimes that, you can use a young Kaim Dixon, push him into the squad and continue his development. People say, oh, the national team is not for development, that's for the club. Bro, you have to look at it. Giving Kaim Dixon the exposure, that's a part of development. Give him exposure in our own professional environment. The experience that Kaim Dixon is going to get from just being around the squad, playing against a US team, coming up against defenders, like Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, Joe Scaley, players like this, McKinney. Just be on the pitch alone, observing these players and how they go about their business on the pitch, off the pitch, looking at them. You think he's not going to be looking at the US team, warming up and looking at, oh shit, that's Polygon, that's Christian Pulisic. He's looking at all these players, move around. So that's a part of development, giving young players exposure. So don't just judge anyone that says, yo, push a young player in the national team for him to get more development and more exposure. There's a different stages of level of development when you come on to international team. Look at Garnacho. Garnacho was right around the Argentinian squad for most of the World Cup qualifiers game whenever he is fit. Even when he was playing reserve football for Man United, Garnacho was around that Argentina squad because they see him as a future prospect. You understand? They see him as a future prospect, so they're giving him that exposure, just being around the environment, with Kun Aguero, them, with Lionel Messi, with Di Maria, with Lo So all these players, Rodrigo De Paul, just being around them, it's a whole lot more on how you see his fellow Argentinian players move around in CONCACAF, how Scaloni want the team to prepare for a game. So it's very, very it's very important for Kaim Dixon to see what Coach Alf Grimson wants from the players so far. So that's why I think that third spot in the goalkeeper selection should always be probably a young goalkeeper who is probably like 24 under 24, 25 there and there, but so they can get that exposure. So whenever there's a national call-up, they use to the environment. And you could easily pick even 4 goalkeepers, pick 2 young goalkeepers, pick your very best 2 young goalkeepers for the national team and give them that exposure. A lot of teams have done it before, pick 4 goalkeepers. It's either they pick the 3 best senior goalkeepers and then give a young goalkeeper the opportunity. So it's good to give young players exposure around the camp. I remember my time with Boystone U team, even Ryan LFC was in that U team. Just be there as a young, be there around Ryan then, who was an older players for me at the time. I was younger player in around that under 15 team. That Boys Town under 15 team was a star-studded team. And me as a 13-year-old, you know, being around their environment, it gave me a lot of exposure. And when it's time for me to play under 30, it's like I'm playing against boys. The amount of exposure, the type of training that I went through with the U15 team with bigger and older players, I got more exposure. I got exposure of being on the ball is so important. Spend less time. Look for your option before you get the ball. I didn't even know that before I went there. So I went there and got a lot of exposure, and I bring it down to the U13, and you could see the difference when I was playing there. So yeah, it's very important, man. You know, so yeah, that's the second one. Squad depth. You know, squad depth for us. So Daniel said, yeah, to play that system, we need better fullbacks booming down the line. I can see we're using that system more in the Copa America. All right, so you see, let me take a sip. That's very good, you know. That's very good. Yesterday game, the fullbacks could have get more out of them, but when you look at it, Greg Lane is a fullback where he's a balanced fullback. He's going to always make sure he put in his defensive shift first before he go forward. You know, he's a very, very fit player. Yeah, he's a very fit lad. And Dexter, probably a little bit more cutting edge, you know, trying to get crosses into the box. But I don't know, sometimes he's just kind of he does look nervous. Sometimes I've tried to get the ball in the box. But you will get more crosses from a deeper position from Gregley because he tends to not to go much far up the pitch. And I was very surprised to see Gregley in the box in the first seconds of the game when Michael Lecter kicked that one long ball and it went for a throw. I'm very surprised, saying that the coach really came on, you know, in that game to be on the front foot. Yeah, but Dexter, yeah, we could have get more attacking from them. But when I look at it, Dexter have 8 passes into the final third. You know, could I get more? Yeah. Dexter, you know, 4 interception and 1 headed clearance. Yeah, but could have get more. But his crossing, he have made 2 out of 3 accurate crosses into the box. Yeah. So that's 67%. So on Gregley's side, Gregley have 6 more crosses into the box. No, 6 crosses into the box. That's 4 more than, you know, Dexter, and he had 16 attempts overall just to get the ball in the box. But most of those you could say it's from a deeper position because he's not a really attacking first for him. It's defensive. He's more like a balance. He's more like a balanced fullback where you're going to get a fair bit of job on both sides, attacking third and defensive third. So yeah. So but yeah, I understand that Daniel, you know, we could probably get more out of our wing backs, but is it a start of something new? And this formation in CONCACAF, it's getting more and more popular. Maybe it's the US team that don't really play straight at the back. When you look at a Mexican team, you know, they have Montes and Vasquez who naturally start as centre back in our game, and then you will find Edson Alvarez drop in between both of them, you know, getting the game starting for them. So go back with straight at the back with both players, you know, for the Mexican national team and both sides. You know, is he going to be Arujo, you know, Jorge Sanchez, you know, is he that going to be Jesus Gallardo on the left hand side for them? So straight at the back is very important in CONCACAF, and it's getting more and more popular in the sports right now. But it's naturally an Italian style of play, but again, CONCACAF, they're using it more and more. But it's one of the best formation to stop a very good team that's a cutting edge team that when you look at the attacking third, they're very prolific. So I think it's a good formation that can stop any CONCACAF team. And I think that formation too, going 3-5-2 or, you know, 3-4-3, it can stop, you know, it can stop a Mexican team, you know. So yeah, next one, you know, Antonio can stay home in the next window. Look, I love Antonio, but I just feel like, I tell you the truth, who's this? Energy 876. I tell you the truth, bro. Tell you the God Almighty truth. Mikel Antonio right now is 33 years old. The World Cup will be the next 2 years from now, yeah? We can't depend on Antonio, We can't depend on him. If we're going to depend on Antonio and base a team around him, that's going to be a sad mistake for the Reggae Boy international team. Because as long as Antonio is at West Ham and as long as Antonio is under David Moyes, you're going to always have these issues. And this is not the first time it's happening, and it's not the first time Kudus have been pulling out of the Ghanaian national team. And David Moyes did everything to stop Kudus from not to go to that African Cup of Nations. Yeah, in January, he have done everything not to send the player, but it's because of Kudus. Yeah, the determination he want to play for the Black Stars. And I remember David Moyes' time even at Everton. Stephen Pienaar for South Africa. He used to have the same issues. So I just don't know why. David Moyes don't trust these players, these black players that play for black countries, for Caribbean countries and for African countries. And I think there was another player. Daniel, you remember that player, for Everton? I think his name is Yokubo. The players like these, David Moyes have stopped these players over the years at West Ham. Try to convince them not to play for their African teams. So it's something, it's a stigma around David Moyes, and it's just not just David Moyes. It's just the nature of how English coaches are, and a lot of times when Harry Kane is playing and a Pochettino, Pochettino and I forgot the next coach, the Italian coach and Jose Mourinho. A lot of times Harry Kane goes to the international setup with England team, and he went in with a knock and no one told him to pull out, So it's just that. So, and worst scenario when Mikel Antonio, he was injured in that Canada first against Kingston, a knee injury, and he didn't came back until like around 3 months later. So they're going to do everything, and then the busy schedule that is coming up for West Ham. I think West Ham play Leverkusen. I think West Ham will play Leverkusen. I think it's Leverkusen they play in the upcoming. Yeah, they play Leverkusen. So, David Moyes, I don't really pay much attention, but yeah, this is the thing, Energy 876. We cannot build a team around. We have to get Boza. We have to build this team and structure this team around Boza. Look, Boza, he's going to miss striker. He's going to miss goals. Yeah, and strikers, you want your strikers to get minutes on the field more and more. You want your strikers to get opportunities. They're going to miss. That's it. Who miss chances like Filippo Inzaghi, who miss chances like Michael Owen, but they still put away most of their opportunities. Yeah, Alan Shearer, when he just started out his career, he used to miss a whole lot of opportunities, even at his time at Blackburn. He was one of the men that missed week and week out, but he's getting opportunities. Radamel Falcao, who miss opportunity like Luis Suarez, like to get a lot of opportunities. So Boza went through a rough period, before the quarterfinals of the Nations League, and he pulled us through with a brace. He pulled us through in that Canada game. So, this is a player that he has quality. He's a very good player, a standard of CONCACAF level. So we have to look at Shaman Nichols and build a team around him and other strikers. When it's rough, man. It's rough. We need players in that striker pool. We need players in that striker pool. Trust me, because if Boza go down, who we got as a real natural number 9? Yeah, we don't really have a lot of players. We're going to call Romara Williams. We're going to call back for Great, who's in Saudi Arabia. Or we're going to call for Cory Burke. But next up, gang starting center. So when we are gonna start creating a chance, that's the next thing. That's the next thing. That's the next thing. When we how this show that we can defend properly as a unit, the next thing is to be able to manage the game properly in the midfield and manage the game better and create more opportunities. So that's why I'm going to move on to the next thing, and talk about that midfield issues. But that's the next thing, we're going to have to we're going to have to start to do as a team. Yeah, create more opportunities. Because when you look at it, for the last couple of games against the US, we have only scored against them set pieces. Yeah, the throw in. It was a throw in from Dexter. Anthony Robinson misjudged the ball, and Bobby Day Covery, gravitate on that and pin the ball over on the back post, and he scored from that. It's a header. The last time we Damion, no, it was a header set piece from Demi. Michael Antonio, the ball that he scored, and then in Kingston, it was like from a throw-in from the left back position where he spin the defender and turn and shoot. So I could go on and go on and go on, and go back even when we beat them in the World Cup qualifier when Luton Shelton scored a free kick. Yeah, and I think Rhoda Fasting also scored from a free kick. So we have continuously scoring set pieces goal. 2015 semi-final against the US. What happened? One long throw from Kemal Lawrence, Darren Mattox, flick off, Brad Guzman couldn't save it. Yeah. The next goal in that game, James Barnes scored from a direct free kick. So we have been scoring goals against the US, but it's hard coming from some type of set piece. That's how it started. We haven't scored against them. I think one of the goals that we have scored on them is when we beat them in an international friendly when Shaman Nicholson scored a brilliant goal from that right hand side around 25 yards out. That was like a build-up play. And it came from a turnover from the US team. So, yeah, so we have to, try to create more opportunities so we can have better chances of getting more and more goals. Daniel said, I don't think Anthony is fully committed to this team. I wouldn't say he's not 100 fully committed to the team. Yeah, but I just feel like he just come under a lot of pressure whenever it's time to turn up for the Reggae Boys team, and even when he's just coming off an injury, Antonio have to stay in the team no matter what. His name alone is dangerous. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And that's a really good point. That's why I said we cannot build a team around him, but we can have him in around the team as he's very dangerous. He's on his day, he's very fit, he's very strong. CONCACAF defenders can't deal with Antonio's presence. They just cannot live with it. Remember when he played against the US for the first time in the World Cup qualifier, they just couldn't deal with his physical physique on the pitch. They have a lot of problems, and even in the quarterfinals against the Guatemala team, in when we played that game in Ohio, they couldn't live with his presence on the pitch. So I think having a player like that around Boza, he still can teach him 1 and 2, and the player himself can learn from him because Mikel is a journeyman in the English football, a player that have done a lot for his club team in the English Premier League. So he's a very experienced player that can keep around, but it's just that we just cannot build a team around him. We just cannot. He's not a trust player. He's not a trusty player, especially with injuries. Which balls are you talking about? Shaman Nicholson I'm talking about, who else we're going to pick? All right, so is it that you discrediting me saying Shaman Nicholson? Gang stalking, is he discrediting me that, which balls are you talking about? Bro, we don't have anything else. Who we going to pick? We can't depend on nobody else. Who we have? Cory, Burke, Robert Williams. See what happened to see young Bailey from Sheffield, England under 19 call him man, and what he did, he's gone. So Boza is the real natural lethal goal scorer of, that can do the job. day in and day out that we can depend on. And you will get a 100% commitment from Boza. This is the thing. This is another thing. You know, it's not all about star-studded players. Look at the Guatemala team. They're not star-studded, but what they do as a team, they play to their strength. They played as a unit. You understand? They fight for each other. They have commitment to play for the Guatemala national team. They're fighting for, you know, the crest. They're fighting for the crest. And that's what you need in the team. Look at that Cinderella story. Leicester City won the Premier League. There's not star-studded player. The only player was in that team where he said he's really have quality, you know, is Mahrez and Kante. You know, Jamie Vardy was just a natural goal scorer. And that's it for him, a late bloomer. You know, so when you have players in the team that going to be fully committed to the program, you will get more out of him. Look at this team. Sometimes when you have a star-studded team as a coach, it's hard to motivate these players. Unai Emery speak about it at Paris Saint-Germain. It's hard to motivate him. The players, look at what he's doing now. He have less star in his team at Aston Villa, and he's getting the best tune out of his players. Look what Al Grimson have done last night. Ronaldo Cephas have done both work and defensive attacking third. Jamal Lowe, Bobby Reed, they are coming back. We don't really get that stuff from Demari Gray. Demari Gray out of Leandale. Demi is the player that will do most of the job going back and forth. Leon Bailey time and time tracking back, sleeping, watching wing backs and attack and the wingers overloading our right hand side and our right back, and it's going to just be overwhelming on that side. So you just have to have players. It have to be mixed. It have to be mixed bunch. Stars players, and you're going to have players that fringe players that you're going to be commit to what the coach wants. If you can commit to what the coach wants and do exactly what the coach needed to you on the pitch, more likely that team going to play as a unit and they're going to come out successful in most of the games that they go into. And look at how we played. We played really well. We played really well. Who would have predicted a Joel Latibody and a Michael Hector to play that well for the team last night? You understand? Even look at Michael Hector when Gregley give away the ball right and on the left hand side and the halfway point, and it was 3-on-1. I think it was Pulisic. I think it was Pulisic and Timothy Weah and someone. I don't remember who was running the ball. I think it was Tillman. And Joel Latibody made up for Gregley mistake and cover. They were attacking against Michael Hector. Michael Hector body position and that breakaway from the team. It was so good. It was so prolific. So you could say, you know, maybe if it was a better defender who is a star-studded defender, maybe his ego would have told him, you know, I can go win this ball. Because even the player that was running with the ball before Pulisic get the ball, he kind of over-dribbled the ball at one point, and I was saying, Michael Hector, do not go, stay. Maybe if it was a player that, you know, kind of have a little bit more ego, arrogance about his play and more confident that he could have win the ball, probably would have get exposed and the player just take 1-2-1 ball, beat him, and Pulisic get 1v1 it with Andre Blake. So sometimes we need these players in the squad, to be honest. You know, we need these players, trust me. Young players, you know, fringe players, stars players, that's what made up a squad. A squad don't just come with a bunch of stars. I'm telling that. Example, look at that team that didn't win the World Cup for Brazil when Italy beat them in the final in Spain. Look at the Rossoneri's team with Ronaldinho, Pirlo, Beckham, Seedorf, Robinho, Kevin Prince Boateng. Look at that team. They didn't do much. Some of the best teams, they didn't do much. So, you know, look at even a Chelsea team under Jose Mourinho. They don't even win the Champions League, and it was one of the best put together team at that time in England. So, you know, we have to be careful on how we want to build a team around a lot of stars. You know, we need players that are going to be coming to the program. So next up, Boza is not the man. You know, look, I can't fight you for that. You know, that's your opinion. I'm just saying what I have to say, and I respect your opinion. You know, Jamaican boy, I respect your opinion that, you know, in your opinion, Boza is not the man. You know, but I would love to know why Boza is not the man for you. Yeah, I would love to know why Boza is not the man for you. But if you want to call, that's the number. Call me and let me know why you think Boza is not the man for you. We need to develop two youngster for the number 6 energy 876. I'm trying to think who is there. Look, we can use every time when things like this come up and we go back to picking local players, young players that's who's really really good in that position that can develop. I remember look at a player, Ramon Owen at his time. Look at his time at JC. Yeah, Ramon Owen was one of the best in his time. And who else? Can't remember some of the players then, but when we see like a prodigy, for the young team, especially in the under 20 coming from the Manning Cup, we can, as clubs, we can help develop these players. But that you have international teams, out there that have like we say like a development program for young players. You have like you have teams like Sweden. The teams that have done it more is the teams like the Scandinavian team. That team that Coach Al Grimson took to the Euros and the World Cup in 2018 and Euros, I think in 2020, most of those players started their development around 2010 in the U15 and U17 of the Iceland team, U team. And more than 75% of those players represent the team in the Euros and the World Cup. So if you look at that, look at Mexico team, the defender, Vasquez, Montes, Jesus Gallardo, Jorge Sanchez, Orbelin Pineda, Henry Martin. Most of those players have came through the lower system of the Mexican youth system. They develop and that they further, let me use that word, they further their development in the Mexican youth system. They develop their look at the U20 team that beat our U20 team, the Mexican national under 20 team that beat Tarek Magui, them team that Jerome would coach in that World Cup qualifier when we narrowly missed out on goal difference. Most of those players went on to be a professional player. How many of those players in that U20 team for us represent the national team in later years by? Not many of them. Not many of them. So, the different teams around CONCACAF, look at, you see, Adjurite, Tyler Adams, Pulisic, and I think Miles Robinson. These players all came through the youth under 17 playing at the World Cup level for the US men's national team. How much players we have in our team that went to the World Cup? Look at the 2011 team that went to Mexico in the under 17 World Cup. Jason Wright, Zelano Barnes, Omar Olness. You have Kimo Williams. The keeper, I think his name is Nico. You have Jenkins. You have Cardell Bembo. Look at so much names I'm calling. How many of those players make the transition into the senior team? Sometimes these things naturally just don't down to the club, even though most percentage of it down to all the clubs develop the players and all the players in conduct themselves to life as a professional players. Yeah, and how they get the exposure. And a lot of international teams have helped their young players to get contract abroad, as most federations around get agents to manage their young players and get them into right system around the world where they can further their development, because they know that a national team is not a nursery. It's not a nursery. They only can do as much as what they're doing right now. So we need to get that. We need to see more players from the youth system is making that jump. So that's all I'm saying. Other CONCACAF teams are doing it. Look at the past. If you look at the past Costa Rican team, with what's his name, the goalkeeper, Ruiz, all these players, Joel Campbell, most of those players in that team, a bunch of them came through different section with individually through the national youth setup for the Costa Rican national team. It's the same thing for the Panamanian team right now. It's the same thing. Ishmael Diaz have came through the ranks with Barnases, Farhado. All these players came through the ranks with these players now. So we just need to know how we structure our football going forward. We got Cole, but Cole went to England to play under 19. So we don't know if we got him. Who know what his development going to be and under England under 19, where his progress to shoot off just like that. And he got a Premier League club, and his career just gone. And guess what? Another player that going to get slipped away from us. Stefan LD and Jamaica needs more of the local born players to play at the highest level in countries overseas. Look at Panama; their players are in the top South American or Spanish speaking leagues. No pathway in Jamaica. So that's why as a federation can help create a pathway. Can help create a pathway, because I remember one time, I was talking to a very elderly African guy, very passionate about Ghanaian football, and he said in the early 90s, going to the early 2000s, the Ghanaian national team have created a pathway where they hired people to help look after the best of the best young players in Ghana, help them with their pathway into Europe, help them with their agency, and help them with clubs, get them into the best youth system around Europe. And I think, the infrastructure that our local clubs have, it's not top tier, so they have to get a little bit of help. They have to get at least a little bit of help from the Football Federation. The Football Federation in Jamaica have to help the development, with the players. We have to help at least have players, some players on the radar, the best young players, at least 15 or 10 best young players in Jamaica, and at least give them a seminar of practicing coaching under the best of the best youth coaches. Probably hire someone locally to help develop these younger players. Look at when the young players, whenever they say they get called up for a local camp, look at how they're practicing. They said it's something new. They don't expose to these stuff. So if we can have more on these things with our younger players and help give them a pathway, it can happen. So if the JPL club can pay a live cable wage, we can have a better local player. We can't have JPL play holding down full-time jobs. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think when you Energy 876, when I look at it now, probably 10 years back, you have more players that's having full-time job than now. I don't. There's few players. What Mullines have did, since they got promoted to the Premier League. Mullines, I think their owner is one of those big bank manager, some executive at NCB. I don't remember his name, but what they have done, they have partnership with a security company where their players, whoever need a job, because they know that they cannot pay their players the amount of money that they want them to sustain their family and their personal life. So what they do is they have a contract with a security company, and whoever need jobs, they will give them a part-time job so it can help benefit their wage, and make the cookie a little bit taller, and so they can benefit their family and themselves. So that is a thing that need to change. Players need to be focusing on just their club, no other else thing but playing football, because it's hard for a player going on 9 to 5 and then come back to training. Even you're going to need rest, and players need to be training at least 2 times a day. I mean, Arnett Garden, my club, train 2 times a day, in the morning and in the evening, yet for majority of the in weeks. So I agree to Stefan LD said, that is true about Ghana, although they are rebuilding at the moment. Look at their U20 currently playing at the All Americans Games football tournament. You see, the African countries, especially like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria, especially Nigeria, they have a very, very good youth system. What is kind of cramping Nigeria now? What used to happen, you used to see a lot of Nigerian under 20s or the Olympic team, those players made the transition into the first team back then. But what's been happening now in international football, it's like a transfer market. They go into the countries where they can get the best players, like from England. You understand? Player like Iwobi, players like that, they're going in England to get those English-born players, and it kind of having those players stagnant. One of the real last big U20 Nigerian team that formed, that was a team with Kelisha Inacho. I think it was Osimhen them. That team with Kelisha and Osimhen them, those different youth programs for Nigeria, those programs were the last sets of youth that really integrated into the senior teams. Yeah? So you're not really having that. So I think, the African teams have to go back to that because it was successful. Look at the Ghana team. They have brought in a few pieces in 2010, players like, Boateng and that, but it was all down to what they have locally, or they produce from the youth system come all the way up, because that team in 2010, they just kind of die out. A lot of players got dropped off, there and there, 2014, they missed out on 2018 and 2022. So Ghana have to be finding that what they have been doing in the early 90s to the late 2000s, they have to go back to that system. Not everything, will work for African teams. And trust me, it's very difficult to play, CAF football for African teams. It's very difficult. So Leon, they're talking about pressure, a man like Andre Ayew, who missed two World Cup back to back and drop out a group stage in the African Cup of Nations back to back, talking about that pressure, talking about it. So in the CAF Nations that just happened, in Ivory Coast, watching a video when the Ghanaian national team coming into Ivory Coast off that bus, the Ghana team have a little bit of presence around them. I don't know if it's bodyguard, but cameraman easily just walk up to Dede, which is Andre Ayew, and just push the camera in his face, and they just start to question him because he grew up in Marseille system, so he knew French. He knew to speak French, and they just start to speak French at him. So sometimes these things, sometimes it's just some little cry baby thing. It happened in Africa. Most of the African players, cameraman just walk up to them, coming off the bus, coming off of the plane in the airport, and just push camera in their face and start to question them. It happened in African Cup of Nations, in Ivory Coast just a few months back. So yeah. I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue with what I was talking about. Yeah. Let's get this thing back up on the screen. But man, these things have happened. But Al Grimson, yeah. Al Grimson. Talking about Al Grimson, yeah. As I was saying earlier in the video, Al Grimson have surprised a lot of people, especially the journalists. When I was watching a podcast, the Men in Blazer podcast, with the host. I don't remember the host, but it was Jesse Marsh was on it, yeah. And they were a bit shocked. Even Jesse Marsh himself said, I knew Al Grimson personally, yeah. We have talked about football on a numerous occasion, and he said, let me take that one. He never said he has said he never have heard him talk about, playing three at the back. It was very surprising for him. So if he's a man that, talked to Al Grimson about football, and he never really hear of him talking about three at the back. So that's very new for him, And I was looking at the Icelandic team that went to the World Cup. They have never played three at the back. They never played three at the back in the Euros either, So it's something new. So I think it's work. I think it can work. But again, I don't think three at the back might work with our big guns, all our players that are in, Demar Gray, Leon Bailey. I don't think it will work on a larger scale, but it can work for a game. But you're talking about trying to develop that new system. I don't really want the coach to be doing something that is very uncomfortable in. And if this is just a one-off thing, maybe he can bring it back again into another big game and more decisive moment, or he can play that formation a little bit more flexible, by getting, Damion Lowe or Joe Latibody here, playing as a both midfielder and as a defender, just like Edson Alvarez do as the Mexican, as a Mexican player playing as a both defender and a midfielder at times. So it kind of gives the opponent a different flexibility and how they managing the game against their opponent. So I think that's something that we can do moving forward. But remember, back in the days, I think early my time, I remember my time watching the Reggae Boys team early 2000. That's my time when I remember watching the Reggae Boys at the national stadium. It was 3-5-2, at the back, for a long time, I know many people on the stream can relate to that. It was 3 at the back for a long time. When you have players, like Demar Phillips, running the left-hand channel. You have a young player. We used to develop a lot of young players, like I think his name is Vernon for Portmore, right back. Even Xavier Virgo, Lovell Palmer. We used to have a lot of fullbacks playing locally that's really good, that can step up to the CONCACAF level. But I don't know, man, the development kind of stagnant, in Jamaica, and, which is supposed to be more at a higher level where we're supposed to have more resources in this modern times of technology. So I don't know, man, but yeah, that's what I'm talking about now. The three of the 5, Algrim's flexibility, his formation was really good. To be honest, I really enjoyed the team play that straight at the back, and the style of how he played by getting the wing backs high up in the attacking third. Nobody have expected, our wing backs to be playing such a high line. Anthony Robinson at times, he have to be skeptical on how he go forward. Joe Scaly, he has to be wondering how he's going to deal with the overlap with Greg Lay and Ronaldo Cephas on that left-hand side. So it caused a whole lot of problem. And at times, we kind of step in their face, step in their defensive third and try to get the ball high up. But a few times they have break the press and they create moments where I was a bit worried. A lot of times in the second half, about 3 times, Greg Lay have got caught up front, in the defensive third half of the US team, and they got in our backline. But again, when you get behind one of the fullback, you have 3 defenders plus one of the other wing backs that more likely might be a bit closer to them, that he can recover to make it be a back 4, or one of the defensive players can drop back from the midfield to the defensive line. So it's something that can work, but you have to have the right personnel and understanding on how you want the system to play. And so I think tactically he have gotten that right. He have gotten everything right, but it's just that little moment, man, and the substitution that just pissed me off, man. You can't take off all of your outlets off the pitch. Cephas, for me, he's going to, just like what Ten Hag have done to Marcus Rashford at Etihad. You're going to have to die out there before me take it off of the pitch. You're going to have to die. That's a game that we need to win. That's a derby game that United needed to win. That's a game that Jamaica team that need to get over the line. And I think if you're having a Cephas on the team, it would have been a little bit more worried at the back for the US team, and they want to push up players in that last quarter of the game. Because knowing that Cephas is not there anymore, Daniel Johnson's on the pitch at one time, playing at the left side. I think Bobby Reed at one time was playing on that right side at times. So we don't really have much. We took off our 3 decent attacking players, Bobby, Jamal and Ronaldo, off the pitch. When you took off all those players and, you bring on a player like Cory Burke need to play with someone up front. He cannot play by himself. He has to play as the vocal number 9 and a supportive striker beside of him. Someone that can get the ball from him when he hold up the play or he's running the channels, and whenever he get the ball, he can lay it to them. He's not the man that's going to play 1v1 against the defending team. He's not. That's not his game. His game is strength, running behind, give him the ball in channels, bulldozer defenders, and he didn't get much of those balls because guess what? We spend more time defending. We didn't have the players to get the ball in our attacking third, the outlets to give him the ball so he can get the ball so he can do his stuff, So next up, the next important thing, 4 out of the 5. Damion though. I think moving forward, Damion Lowe is our defense, is our number 6, to be honest. I have seen a lot in Canada, and I have seen a lot, at this game, Arlington, at the AT&T against the US in that second half. That second half, I think what kind of trigger Coach Al Grimson to let Damion Lowe play in that number 6 and drop back Joe Latibody. I think, they brought on Gio Reyna, in the start of the second half, and Gio Reyna just bring a different light to the US attack, and they were just start to create a whole different dynamic of space in around our midfield, and I think our players were struggling to keep up with that. Yet that flexibility of what Gio Reyna bring to the team, and I think he said, okay, let's bring Head of State in the midfield, and try to match them with physical presence in that midfield and see if he can start to win the ball and see a bit look closer to Gio Reyna. And it have worked to some instinct, but we just didn't manage to get over that period. And I think if we manage to get over that and conquer what Greg Berhalter have done, I think the game wouldn't have reached that far, to be honest. They would have still have been playing half rhythm because the whole of first half they have been playing slow build up, and I don't expect that, from the US team. So I think, with Gio Reyna's substitution kind of give Coach Al Grimson that little indication of, you need to put Head of State in the midfield. And I think it kind of worked, it kind of eased back a little bit of pressure on us. So moving forward, we just need to start to build the team around that number 6 position. We need to get, Jesus. Hello? I thought it was a call, but but we need to get, the 2 midfielders that want to create. You need to get 2 midfielders that going to create opportunities for us, because Head of State is a really good CDM, but if we can get 2 brilliant minded creative players, probably Casey Palmer, because Casey Palmer was playing more like a defensive player in that first half. He was playing more like, and that's not his game. When he's playing for Coventry, he's playing behind. He's playing ahead of 2 double pivot in that midfield, in that 3-5-2 system. He's playing right behind Adjurite and Sims in that Coventry setup. So I think, getting, Casey Palmer in front of Head of State and somebody else, I don't know. I love Daniel Johnson in that midfield, but, Daniel Johnson is not playing a whole lot of football, His match fitness is just not up to standard, so he needs to be getting regular playing time so he can be on top of his game. We want the players to be playing week and week out for their club team. Look at the US team. Musa, he kind of look off in moments in the game. He's not playing for AC Milan. Tillman, he was a little bit off. He's a little bit off. Balogun is not playing really excellent for Monaco this season, and his game look off because it was straight at the back with low blocks, and he don't have enough time to run in. So that's tactically really good on the Jamaican coaching standpoint. So we just need our players to be playing week and week out so they can come in international duty ready to go. Look at Greg Lee. Look at Greg Lee is flying. Greg Lee is flying. Look at Head of State playing week and week out for Philadelphia. Joel Latibody, he was on top of his game. He's playing regular minutes for Coventry. But I was just hoping, we see Cory Anderson a little bit more in that game. Cory Anderson brought in some energy in that game. I'm seeing, I would love to see him start in the next game, as it can be, start head of state in that CDM, Casey Palmer and Cory Anderson. And Cory Anderson and Casey Palmer play that double number 8 and attack the Panama team, But head of state in the CDM, that's one of them. And the last thing, number 5, killer instinct. We're going to have to, we just realized that we don't have a killer instinct, a prayer attacker in the team that's going to get their chance and going to finish off any team. That ball, that 1v1 with Ronaldo Cephas, brother, you have to score that goal. Just like what Leon Bailey did in the last game against them. He missed the penalty and the rebound. You have to score that goal to put us 2-goal advantage. The game would have done by that. The game would have finished. I tell you, the game would have finished, man. If he finished that, I'm just like, I'm just... How did he miss that ball, man? I know it was on his weaker foot, but as a player, man, as an attacking player, you have to can finish with both foot. And I know if that was Demarai Gray, but if it was Demarai Gray, would he catch that US defender with his pace? But I think Cephas lightning pace. You can't defend pace. That's one thing in football. You cannot defend pace. If a ball get pushed forward and you're a defender going to go 1v1, trying to get the ball, the man who's the fastest going to win it. The fastest player is going to win, so you cannot defend pace, you cannot coach pace. You might can zone out their play. They have done it a few times with Cephas, let him run out of play a lot of times, but you just cannot coach pace or defend pace 100%. Yeah? So we just need that killer instinct. I remember when we played them in that World Cup qualifier when I think the game was at, I don't remember if the game was at 1-1 when we played them at the National Stadium when Bobby Reid missed that sitter in the 6-yard box. Was it 1-0 or 1-1 where we supposed to go 2-0 up or 2-1 up? Yeah. We just didn't take that opportunity, man. And remember that game in the National Stadium again, the quarterfinals of the Nations League. Leon Bailey get too much sitter to kill off the Canadian team where we could have just easy and just walk into the second leg and just, with both hands in the air and just finish them off in the second leg, So we don't have that killer instinct. We need that killer instinct. Yeah? You see like how Diego Costa used to be clinical for the Atletico Madrid team back in his time. He even come at Chelsea. Clinical. One and go. Yeah, man. We need that killer instinct from our attacking players whenever it comes to the big games in CONCACAF. If we cannot kill teams off, we're going to have games like this. Our heart going to be broken like this, So we need killer instinct, man. We need killer instinct. But match rating so far. But for Blake though, Blake didn't really have much to do in that game, Yeah, Blake didn't have much to do in that game. Blake, I would give Blake a 7. I could have easily given him an 8, but with 5 saves, 5 saves he made in that game, I kind of blame Blake, for that. All the team kind of set up for the set piece, that corner kick in that last minute of the 90 minutes, kind of, because you have to be more organized, you have to be more focal for your defenders to organize. Let Cory Burke be on the front post. You cannot have your defenders who is on the front post trying to defend. But as I said, the ball kind of came over a bit quicker, so they probably kind of catch the defenders off guard. But yeah, I would give Blake a 7. Dexter, I would give Dexter a 7 also. Would have wanted more crosses from his side. Yeah, but defensively, he was solid. Bernard, 8. Very solid from Deshaun Bernard. Yeah, he have had, 46 touches on the ball. Yeah, and he have made 4 interceptions and 8 recoveries. He have won 56% of his ground duels and 50% of his aerial duels. So he has been very decent at the back. Really good. Yeah. So that's 8 for Deshaun. And Big Ek, I will give Big Ek a 8.5 also. As why I will give Big Ek that half a point over Deshaun and how he positioned himself in that 3v1 when they attacking us, when Gregory gave away the ball. Yeah, that's a half a point right there for Big Ek. 32 touches. Yeah, 32 touches and 5 clearance, 2 edit clearance and 1 interception, 4 recoveries. Yeah, you have only dribble pass once in the game. Joel Latibodier. I will give Joel Latibodier 9. Why? I gave Joel Latibodier 9 in the game because he have done it in the midfield and he dropped back in the back three and he have done it. You know, he have worked his socks off. He's well organized and he made that Black and Christian Pulisic, yeah, when he got away in that 3v1. So Joel Latibodier, I gave him 9 for that. He have done it in both positions. Greg Lane, yeah, I will give Greg Lane a 9.5. Give him 9.5. You know, if you have probably win the game, probably would have get 10 out of 10. But 9.5 for Greg Lane with the goal. 16 attempt, crossing attempt from the left back position. That's really good from a fullback. Decent. You don't really get, you know, they don't really get beaten a lot. He was dribble pass only once in the game. Yeah, only dribble pass once, and he will only commit 1 foul attempt. And he have made 6 recoveries, 2 interceptions, and he have made 100% in his tackles on the pitch. Yeah, 6 passes into the final third, and he had 37 touches, and he have had 6 out of 16 crosses in the box. So that's 38%. You know, so yeah, 9.5 to Greg Lake and the goal that he have scored in the 30-something seconds of the game. Ronaldo Cephas, I will give Ronaldo Cephas 8.5. Yeah, I gave him 8.5. Why? He should have scored that goal. Big miss. Big miss. But different from that, he have taken his player Joe Scaly a lot in that game. You know, Man of Steel, I gave Man of Steel, which is head of state. Yeah, head of state. I will give him a 9. I will give him a 9 as he was one of the men to help organize that corner kick that we conceded late goal on. Yeah, but I gave him a 9. He have done it in the defensive third and in the midfield position. So Casey Palmer, give Casey Palmer, you know, fair chance. I will give him, you know, a 7. You know, he's playing in his not a very usual position, defensive-minded setup in the first half. You know, don't really do much. You know, he have gotten only 21 touches on the ball. You know, only 2 passes into the final third. As a creative player for us, that's not good. Good, you know, that's not good, man. But yeah, he have commit 1 foul. But so that's it. 7, you know, for Casey Palmer. Going to move on. What's the hell? Yeah. So, you know, Bobby Reed. I will give Bobby Reed 8.5 for that, a half a point for that assist for being there, mapping up the mistake that Anthony Robinson made in that left back position and get a wonderful, accurate cross on the back post where the keeper have to see the ball coming and cannot touch it. So yeah, you know, 8 for him, 8.5 for him. You know, you have created 1 big chance. You know, he had 1 shot off target, 34 touches, but 1 pass into the final third. You know, Bobby Reed spent a lot of time defending. I don't know how much people have seen it, but he have spent a lot of time defending. And Bobby Reed is one of the players that over the years, he have put in his defensive shift in every game that he played. Yeah, so I was a bit, you know, sad when I see people, you know, criticizing Bobby Reed that chance that he missed against the US in the World Cup qualifier. But, you know, I could understand that that is a chance where he should have scored. You know, Jamal Lowe, I don't think Jamal Lowe have done enough. You know, I don't think they have done enough on the pitch. You know, he have played 65 minutes and have 14 touches on the ball. Whoa. You know, you have had 14 touches on the ball. That's pretty low, you know, for our attacking player that, you know, who expect to create a lot in that attacking third. But, you know, that's it. You know, people, that's it. You know, that's it. Come to an end the program. But Donovan Luke said Alex Marshall need his chance. No, he did well against Trinidad. All right, Donovan, I can agree with you in some bits, but I don't know how much you're watching the Jamaican Premier League. Alex Marshall is not doing nothing locally. You know, he wasn't doing nothing. He's not doing nothing locally for Portmore United. It is not playing. He's not playing consistently, and for a man that had a wonderful season in the Manning Cup and went to Canada, went to St. Pauli in Germany and trials and like that. Show me something different. He's not showing me anything that he have learned overseas from overseas coaches. You could see quite a few players that went overseas and playing locally. A player like Jason Wright. A player like Warner Brown for Aaron Gardner, a young player coming through from Stats at Tivoli. You can see these players, they went overseas and you could see the big difference in these players' movements off the ball. Fabian Reed, another player, veteran in the local league. You could see the difference with Fabian Reed, how he conduct himself in that number 9 position, and rest of the players who is a number 9 in the league. You could see the big difference. So I don't think Alex Marshall have proven himself to me personally, locally, watching him day in and day out when Portmore play their game on TV. So yeah, I don't think Alex Marshall really need that stepped up as yet. But really, will agree with you. He played well against Trinidad, but you want to see him playing really good for his club team also. But I think, to be honest, I think Alex Marshall time them have passed, I think Alex Marshall done a fair bit for his career. Yeah, he did an interview, I think, on Ball Chat, and he have opened up about his time, through the journey of trying to be a professional player, and it just wasn't enough. He didn't put in enough work. Yeah, that's it. That's it, people. That's it. Bless up to everyone that's, came through, and watching the Carden Media House talking about the game. So yeah, that was my 5 things that I learned. The defensive shape or the discipline of the players. We need a deep squad. I'll bring some flexibility with his formation style of play and his tactical, how he set up the team. Damion Lowe, proven that he can play at the number 6 position, and the killer instinct. We just need to put that in our game. If we can add a bit of control in the midfield and all the midfielders create for the attacking players, and having the strikers with a bit more cutting edge, a killer instinct, finishing, there's nobody can stop us in CONCACAF. I'm telling you, with our physical, with our athleticism, and how we can run our game, that even show me a different side of them, that our fitness level was right up there to the 96th minute until the last goal scored. When games go to extra time to an extra 30 minutes, you can argue with that, everybody, more likely going to be tired, because it's just what you did throughout the whole 90 minutes. The extra 30 minutes is all about your mind. Your mind can get you through the rest of 30 minutes. So it happened to everybody, man. Tired in extra time. The team did not even have an attempt in the second half, not even a shot in that extra time. So yeah, people, bless up for yourself, respect everyone that having a chat with me. Yeah. Really appreciate it, man. Peace out. Salute everyone. Bless up. One love.